So when we started Dimes, Sabrina and I really set out to create somewhere you could eat every day, have a great meal, and walk out of the restaurant feeling better than when you walked in. People always think we're from California, but we're from Jersey. They just don't know what to do with the style of cooking. It's like they assume we're California girls, but we're both from North Jersey, and it's pretty hilarious. Hi, my name's Alissa Wagner. I'm the chef and co-owner of Dimes in New York City. Today we're going to be making a spice porridge with rosemary applesauce and a nut and seed granola. So there's 3 components to this dish. We're going to start with our spice porridge. First, we're going to blend the coconut milk with the dates to make a really delicious, flavorful milk to cook them in. So we're going to add the dates to our coconut milk and just blend it until they're really finely pureed into the milk. Then we're going to pour the milk into the pot. While that's coming up to a boil, we can stir in our spices. Just add another layer of flavor to the milk. So we're going to add our cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, cardamom, and turmeric. So I started cooking about 8 years ago. I actually studied art, but I always worked in restaurants in between doing other things. And I went to culinary school after deciding that I wasn't cut out to work in an office and really wanted to work with my hands. So I went to the Natural Gourmet Institute in Chelsea, which focuses on a whole food style cooking with an approach to wellness and cooking for people with illnesses. And I just really felt the difference of a really good, nutritious meal versus just food to fill yourself up. So now our milk is coming up to a boil. So I'm gonna stir in the black chia seeds. And you can use black or white chia seeds for this recipe, and then our steel cut oats. So we should have added the water along with our coconut milk, but I'm gonna add it now, it'll still be fine. Just bring it back up to a boil. I would stir the porridge about every 5 minutes, just to make sure that it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. And you'll know your porridge is done when all the liquid has been absorbed, which should take about 45 minutes, but cook it a little longer if it looks thin, a little less if it looks like it's thickened up nicely. So now we're gonna make the nut and seed granola that's gonna go on the top of our spice porridge. The first thing we're gonna do is blend all of our nuts and seeds in the food processor. Whole raw almonds. And you don't wanna pulverize them, you just wanna chop them enough to get them into little bits and pieces. I'm gonna do this in batches. I'm gonna start with the nuts. So we've pulsed our nuts here, and the consistency you're looking for is just sort of loose, small pieces. I would say about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch chopped pieces. Right now we're gonna pulse our sunflower seeds and our pumpkin seeds the same way that we pulse the nuts. And they're not gonna get as chopped up as the nuts because you're starting from a smaller position, but you just wanna kind of have little pieces. So now that we've pulsed our nuts and seeds together, we're gonna add our wet ingredients and our spices. So I'm gonna start with the vanilla, our honey, same thing. The really fun thing about this recipe is that you can sort of have fun with the ingredients, and if you didn't have pecans or almonds, you could use different types of nuts or different types of seeds, spices. We're gonna add our coconut oil, cardamom, cinnamon, salt. So we're gonna just mix this all together really well, just incorporate the wet into the dry. I met my business partner Sabrina a very long time ago, going back 12 or 13 years. A few years ago, she was thinking about opening her own place, and I had just finished culinary school and offered to help with the food aspect. It just was kind of like a tumbleweed. It kept growing and growing, and it ended up becoming Dimes. Now we're gonna oil our sheet pans. And if you don't have any Pam at home, you can also just use a little olive or vegetable oil. So now we're gonna spread our granola mix out onto our oiled sheet pans. And when you're spreading it out on the sheet pan, you want it to be about 1 inch thick. So this batch that we're doing is definitely a bigger size batch. It's more intended so that you have extra to keep on hand. You could cut this recipe in half or even in 1/4 and still have enough to eat for the week. So our granola is all ready to go in the oven. We're gonna cook it at 350 for about 35 to 45 minutes or until golden brown and crispy. Just remember to stir it every once in a while so it doesn't burn. So now we're gonna make the rosemary applesauce. This is a combination of apples and pears with fresh squeezed orange juice and spices. You could definitely use store-bought applesauce if you wanted to save time, but there's kind of nothing like making fresh applesauce. It's creamier, the apples are really fresh. There's just a totally different taste. So we're gonna start by peeling our pears and our apples. And then we're gonna chop them roughly. You don't really need to be concerned with how pretty it is because we're just gonna end up pureeing it at the end of the recipe. So we're gonna cook the apples and pears in fresh squeezed orange juice, which gives it an added layer of flavor. When I'm cooking, I really love to use the freshest seasonal ingredients possible, and I always like a really well-rounded meal. So I like there to be a grain, a protein, if I'm doing something savory, a green, then some hearty vegetables to go along with it. But in general, I really like to use spices to build flavor rather than focusing on, you know, butter and cream and things that more traditional cooks will use. There's so many amazing spices and just weird ingredients out there that I love to just get really playful with them. So this is definitely one of those recipes where I think that kind of comes through and really shines. So the first thing we're gonna do is add our orange juice to the pan. We're gonna turn on the heat to about a medium high. So we're gonna add our spices into it. Fresh rosemary, cinnamon sticks, and cardamom pods. So this is just creating a really concentrated base for the applesauce. Now that our orange juice and spice mixture is reduced, we can add our fruit. Then we're gonna pop a lid on it, reduce it to a simmer, and let it cook until the fruit's super, super soft, and the liquid should be almost all the way gone. So now that our fruit is done cooking, we're gonna remove the rosemary, cinnamon sticks, and cardamom pods, transfer the fruit into the Vitamix, and blend it. Looks like applesauce to me. So now we've taken our granola out of the oven and we're gonna stir in our dried fruit, adding our chopped dates and our golden raisins, and we're just gonna get them nicely mixed in there. So now that we have all our 3 components done, it's time to assemble our delicious spice porridge. The porridge, all the liquid has been absorbed. It should be nice and thick and sturdy, but still have a little bit of creaminess to it. Top it with a little applesauce, gotten nicely caramelized in the pan. And finish it off with our nut and seed granola, as much as you want to put on there. And then if you feel like it, you can add some fresh fruit or you can just enjoy it from here. I actually eat this like every day at the restaurant. Super good.